So providing that overview of RF Smart, I want to transition over and let you hear from a customer who's using our product today in their Oracle SCM Cloud environment. And Brandon's got a tremendous amount of experience leading this transformational project for his team. So I wanted to allow him to share some insights and how it's impacted their business. Brandon, I'll transfer it over to you.
Very good. Thank you very much, Casey, and the RF Smart team for the opportunity to share a little bit about what we've done. It's obviously not an exhaustive list, but it's our main highlights here. So we went live November of 2018. So we've been live for a year and a half, and I'm proud to say, as part of the leader for the procure to pay side, that receiving and inventory transactions were not one of the things that we had to spend a lot of time during hypercare to take care of. So I want to share some of that with you. Real quick overview. Obviously, I'm Brandon Weber. I'm the Director of Supply Chain for Titan, and I'm also the procure to pay lead. If you don't know Titan, we make off-road wheels and tires, so agricultural, OTR, which is what we call off the road, mining, and we make the wheels, which is the metal part inside, and we make the tire, which is the rubber part outside. So a global company, about 1.6 billion. And prior to our go live, we selected Oracle Cloud as well as an implementation partner based on the fact of our why. So when we started looking at why, Titan spends a lot of time, most of their sales, at least for wheels, and over half their sales for tires is focused on the OEM market. So you can think of the big ag guys. Those are the ones that usually stick out in everybody's head. There's John Deere, Kubota, AGCO, CNH. Those are the main OEs. So you look at what the OEs are doing. They're continuously improving, looking for suppliers of product that really help them grow. And for us to stay tied to our OEs very closely, we had to grow. We were on a green screen-based system, 25 years of that here at the wheel plant, and I will focus on the wheel plant because that's the first part of our implementation. So we went from green screen to a Oracle Cloud, and just like Casey said, we had to have the mobility for our product. Moving through the factory, it's quite large. Most of it moves by forklift. And so we had to have a mobility partner. We went from virtually zero mobile devices to over 400 on the shop floor. That was a huge undertaking for us, and we needed a partner that could really help us look at the Wi-Fi, look at the devices, troubleshoot any problems during testing. So when we went live, everybody was trained and everything was working. The value of RF Smart, where we're focusing on today, comes down to a couple of things, and these you'll find very similar things as people want to move from on-prem older versions to cloud-based, as well as mobility solutions. They want to simplify tasks. We want to reduce costs, and we want to automate things. With the automation, one of the things Titan has grown as a global business through acquisition. And so you can imagine, as you have multiple ERPs, one of the main goals is to be able to financially roll up everything together. And for a publicly traded company like Titan, time is of the essence to do that accurately and quickly. So there were multiple visions, but those were the real values that we wanted to get out of the system. Obviously, with OEs, we've got to stay up on our technology to be able to provide them things like portals and electronic communications, etc. And so that's really the value of the Oracle piece. So we look at the RF Smart piece. For me, as the Director of Supply Chain, and procure to pay involves receiving. So in some cases, it's a plan to manufacturing process. But in the Oracle Cloud world, receiving is part of procure to pay. So I had the pleasure of working with RF Smart on the receiving side and the inventory transaction side. So one of the things that I wanted to go through is a couple of quick stories, because I think those people can really relate to. Many times I've gotten on conference calls before, and they talk a lot about the software and all these things, but they never get a real sense of, how does someone who's implementing it feel? What are the stories and things that they've overcome to make it work? So that's what I want to focus on. So kind of gave you the overview, our why, and the values that we were looking for from our entire implementation. Jumping over the stories, I've got 4 main ones that I really want to focus on. When you look at the receiving, inspection, and put away, which is what Oracle calls it, kind of a 2-step. You have the option of 1-step or 2-step, but because we receive raw steel, we have to have an inspection in there. We have to make sure it's the right width, the right thickness, the right specification. So we have an inspection process. So what we can do is our truck drivers will actually come in, they'll make appointments, and they'll say, hey, I want to be here at 10 a.m. tomorrow. So we'll make up an appointment. Their truck will pull up. We'll know they're already coming. We'll know which purchase order it is. So we can go out to the truck. We can enter the purchase order right on the RF Smart gun, the scan gun, and we enter our quantity, and it will actually kick the inspection results that are stored in Oracle through the gun out to the receiving employee on the floor. They can read through and say, hey, it's supposed to be this width plus or minus. It's supposed to be this thickness. It's supposed to be this spec. So right there, before it even comes in our door, we're inspecting it. If everything specs out, some of the questions are yes, no. Some are actually value numbers. So they do the inspections. They put in those pieces of data, and then they can actually put that away. And so they'll transfer it to a virtual location we call dock. And we made that up. RF Smart worked with us in Oracle. Very easy to do. And the reason we have dock is we have an 80-acre campus. We have 3 different places we receive our steel. So it comes in one place, but it's got to be transferred. So we'll tell them, hey, go to door A, door B, door C, whatever it is. Once the material handler gets that truck, they can actually move that from the virtual location dock into its final location with the RF Smart gun. All the labels are printed real time in receiving. So as soon as it comes in and we transfer it to dock, we can label it. It has our part number. It has the lot number. And I believe it has a receiving number as well, all on barcode. So in the receiving area, they receive it, they inspect it, they put it away, they put a tag with it, and then they can use that tag throughout the entire raw material process to move it around wherever they need. What I really like about that is we don't have what I call back and forth process. Before, what we had is, let me go out and get the bill of lading, then go into the office, take that bill of lading, type up all the tags in the receiving paperwork, go out there and make sure it's accurate. If it's not to spec, they have to go in and create a non-conformance, and then they can go back out. There was a lot of back and forth. So with the mobile solution, they go out once, they can receive it, put a tag on it, and then it can be gone right to where it needs to go. So inspection specifics, and it's received within minutes. The other thing that I like is as soon as we went live on Monday morning, within the first few minutes, we were actually receiving product. So we had a few issues with some logins, but that was more us created than anything. But once we got past that, we were receiving literally in minutes. The next story I want to jump to is to train and the ease of use. So we had a few training sessions, no more than 30 to 45 minutes, and we had a couple of them to go through the process of receiving, inspecting, and putting away. The software was very easy to use. I didn't do a whole lot of troubleshooting. It was a lot of teaching because the RF Smart solution was out of the box, working, pre-tested. Everything was ready to go, and the users got it. And I think that's the most important part. I've spent many a time shoulder to shoulder with employees on the floor at computers with hand scanners or whatever, and it just takes them a long time to get their routine down. Well, with the RF Smart, it was one prompt at a time, and it was they couldn't mess it up. So I thought it was very easy to train and use the RF Smart, and we had to within minutes of go live. As a point of note, we usually get somewhere between 10 and 20 trucks of steel a day. So the volume is very important, because if our trucks back up and they're backed up and slowing traffic on the main roads, typically that creates a social issue perception for Titan. We don't want that. So we were able to process them very quick. Third thing that story I want to share is RF Smart and the team, the procure to pay team, as they were using the system very quickly, they started making suggestions on day one. Hey, why do I always have to do this? Can't this be defaulted? Can I do this instead of this? And all of those things within the first 2 weeks of what I call the go live, the hypercare port of the go live, RF Smart was able to look at those, attack those situations, say, yeah, we can do that, we can do that. No, we can't do that right now, but we will. They were able to do a majority of those simplifications right up front. So, ours is a multi-org organization system. So one of the things that RF Smart had at the beginning was pick your org. It would default to Quincy, but you still had to pick it. So we said, hey, it knows I'm in Quincy. Why do I have to do that? So RF Smart went in there and said, yeah, if their users attached to Quincy, then they don't actually have to type in the org, they skip that screen. So we got those efficiencies very quickly based on the suggestions from the employees to make their job easier. It wasn't like we had to write these things down, have a meeting where we kept all these action items, prioritize them, figure out who's working on what. They were very quick. And I can't emphasize enough how important that was to the operators actually saying, you know what, they're listening, they're fixing stuff, I'm going to continue to work for it. And it made the process very easy. We also have a unique situation that some of you may also have, but not everybody. We purchase steel in pounds and we receive it in pieces in most cases. So when you order 40,000 pounds of steel and it comes in as 100 pieces, normally with other solutions you have to have some sort of conversion. Well, we had originally, at the start of Go Live, we had put in a manual conversion, and it was working to the best way it could. There were a few rounding issues, and I won't go into the details other than when we receive a piece, because of tolerances on thickness, width, and length, there's a theoretical weight on what that weighs versus the actual weight. So we're getting a little bit of inventory discrepancy. Well, after hypercare, we realized that, and RF Smart actually went out, created a more accurate way of taking 40,000 pounds, receiving 40,000 pounds, but without any intervention, they were converting that to 100 pieces to put away. So all of that's in the background. It's all perfectly clean from an inventory transaction standpoint, and I don't have to worry about the fact that we buy in pounds and use in pieces. So it was a very good situation on the unit of measure conversions for us. The last one I want to talk about is kind of a go-forward plan. We've been live, like I said, for about 18 months or so, and I'm looking for the next available project, and that next available project for us is cycle counting. So I had an intern that interned with me last summer and needed to do a senior project for graduation from his university. So I said, hey, I want you to tackle cycle counting. I said, you're going to have to use Oracle to do some setups, but you need to use RF Smart. And the ease comes across in this way. For an intern to spend a few limited hours with our on-site help and our Oracle help, that was a difficult part. Once he got to the RF Smart piece, he said he didn't have to change anything. He could take that gun, he could go out, do the cycle counting transaction, and it would feed directly into our development instance of Oracle. And this is a young man who has no industry experience. He spent 3 or 4 months doing some procurement stuff, but no industrial experience on the shop floor, no tech experience. I gave him the project and said, here, you go figure it out. And he was able to do that. He started the middle of January, and he just finished up all of his development testing, and he's ready to go live as of this week. So for me, what that really says is it's not about the cycle counting project, it's about the simplicity of it. He was able to go out there with very little experience and knowledge and be able to implement a project. So I'm excited to present that to our steering committee here at Titan, and we will take that next step from there. And if we decide to go live now or if we wait, we will take that decision and use his foundation that he's built in the last 2 months to actually make it go live. So I was really proud of him, but as focus for this presentation, for him to have no experience with RF Smart other than logging in, to walk step by step through it and be able to do it, just shows that you can get the inventory transactions very simply, and it allows me as a manager to do my job and to see anomalies quicker. So those are really the stories that I wanted to share. RF Smart always likes to hear the story for simplicity. I guess I'll add this one here at the end. I had an employee who had difficult reading, didn't read very well. And it's not uncommon in what I would, put as a Midwest manufacturing. Some people, they grow up in a farm community, they don't finish school, they difficult reading for whatever reason. But we were able to create a step-by-step document that basically said, scan this, scan this, scan this, put this number in, hit enter. And this employee was able to stay in their job with no worries about his lack of reading to do transactions. And so if we can put that on one page in a few steps to be able to move stuff from this location to this location, again, it's simple and it gives me the clarity on my inventory transactions so I can do my job even better. So I add that bonus story onto it, but it's been a fantastic project. It's been one that I wish I had probably 10 or 15 years ago to have something this simple. But I didn't, but we have it today, and it's really supported that metric of 20% efficiency in receiving.